The awakening signal, the dust of the forgotten moon, hung in the air like memories waiting to be disturbed. Dr. Helena Voss knelt beside the excavation pit, her gloved hands brushing away centuries of sediment from what appeared to be a metallic surface. The ruins of this place had no name in any database, just coordinates in the outer rim where no one bothered to look anymore. How much longer? Captain Marcus Reed's voice crackled through her helmet comm. He stood near their shuttle, scanning the horizon with visible impatience. Military types never understood the patience archaeology demanded. "Science doesn't work on your schedule, Captain," Helena replied, not looking up. Her fingers traced strange symbols etched into the metal. They were human in origin, she was certain of it, but the design was unlike anything in the archives. This could be significant. Marcus shifted his weight, hand resting on his weapon. "Significant doesn't matter if we're dead. This sector isn't as empty as the charts claim. I've been picking up intermittent scanner ghosts for the past hour." Helena finally looked up, meeting his gaze through their helmet visors. She saw concern there, not just professional vigilance. They'd been working together for 3 months now, ever since the Colonial Research Division assigned him as her protection detail. Somewhere between the 3rd excavation site and the 5th near-death experience, something had shifted between them. 5 more minutes, she said softly. "I promise." He nodded, but his jaw remained tight. Marcus had seen too much in the border wars, lost too many friends to trust empty spaces. But he trusted her, and that meant something. Helena returned to her work, carefully clearing more debris. The metallic surface expanded, revealing what looked like a panel. Her heart raced. If this was what she thought it was, her tool hit something, and suddenly the panel blazed with light. "Helena!" Marcus was running toward her. The light shot upward, a brilliant blue column that pierced the moon's thin atmosphere and screamed into space. Helena stumbled backward, shielding her eyes. The ground beneath her feet vibrated, and she heard something deep below, a sound like machinery waking from an ancient sleep. Marcus caught her as she fell, his arms wrapping around her waist. For a moment they stood frozen, the light washing over them both. His face was inches from hers, and she could see fear and something else in his dark eyes. "What did you do?" he whispered. "I don't know," she breathed. The symbol panel had transformed, now displaying a sequence she recognized from old Earth naval codes. "Marcus, this is a beacon. A human beacon. That's impossible. Humans don't have settlements out here. We barely have— Incoming!" His scanner screamed. "Multiple contacts, closing fast." They ran for the shuttle, Helena clutching her scanner with the beacon's data. Behind them, the light pulsed stronger, and the ground split open, revealing more buried technology. Ancient, powerful, and very much awake. The shuttle lifted off just as the first alien ships appeared on the horizon. Sleek predatory vessels with hull markings Helena recognized from xenology texts. Krivoth Empire ships. They shouldn't be here, shouldn't be interested in an abandoned moon, unless they'd detected the beacon too. "Hold on." Marcus pushed the engines to maximum, the shuttle shuddering as it broke atmosphere. Behind them, the alien ships gave chase, weapons charging. Helena strapped in, her mind racing. The beacon's signal was spreading across space like ripples in water. She'd studied enough ancient human history to know what this meant. Somewhere out there, something was listening. Something human. The shuttle rocked as weapons fire grazed their shields. Marcus's hands flew across the controls, executing maneuvers that would have made Helena sick if she wasn't already terrified. "They're hurting us," he growled, "trying to force us toward that asteroid field. Can we make the jump to hyperspace? Not with them jamming our systems." He glanced at her, and in that moment, she saw the decision in his eyes. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For getting you into this." His hand found hers, squeezed once. "And for not telling you sooner that these months with you have been the best of my life." Helena's breath caught. "Marcus!" The shuttle lurched violently. One of the alien ships had closed distance, its weapons locking on. This was it. This was how it ended. Then space itself seemed to tear open. A massive shape emerged from nowhere, hull black as the void, weapons systems lighting up like angry stars. It positioned itself between their shuttle and the pursuing aliens, and when it fired, the power was devastating. 2 Krivoth ships exploded instantly. The others scattered in panic. Helena stared at the vessel that had saved them. Its design was old but refined, built for war but maintained with care. And on its hull, barely visible, was a symbol she'd only seen in museums. The flag of old Earth. "Shuttle. This is the Phantom's Edge." A woman's voice came through their comms, calm and authoritative. "Follow our coordinates. Welcome home." Marcus met Helena's eyes, both of them realizing the same impossible truth. The beacon hadn't just sent a signal. It had called back the dead. Humanity had been hiding. And now, because of what Helena had awakened, they would hide no longer. As they followed the warship into the darkness, neither of them noticed the small Krivoth scout ship that had observed everything, its pilot already transmitting reports back to the Empire. Intelligence Officer Nexara watched the mysterious human vessel with growing dread. Her people had celebrated humanity's extinction for 2 centuries. If they were wrong, if humans had survived and grown stronger in secret, then everything was about to change. And change, she knew, always came with blood. Hidden Hearts. The docking bay of the Phantom's Edge was unlike anything Helena had expected. Clean, efficient, and bustling with activity. Crew members moved with purpose, their uniforms a mix of old Earth military design and something newer, adapted for long voyages in deep space. They all stopped to stare as Helena and Marcus descended from their shuttle. "I thought we were the last," Marcus whispered, his hand instinctively finding the small of Helena's back as they walked. The gesture felt protective, intimate. "How many are there?" A tall woman approached, her silver hair cropped short, eyes sharp as broken glass. "Enough," she said. "I'm Commander Sienna Drake. You two just rang the largest dinner bell in galactic history. The captain wants to see you immediately." They followed Drake through corridors that hummed with power. Helena's archaeologist mind cataloged everything. These ships weren't just maintained, they were evolved. Technology she'd never seen mixed with designs from Earth's golden age of space exploration. "Where are we going?" Helena asked. "Sanctuary Station. It's hidden in a nebula 3 jumps from here, home to about 50,000 souls, give or take." Drake's expression softened slightly. "We've been watching you, Dr. Voss. Your excavation work has been impressive." "Dangerous, but impressive." Marcus tensed. "You've been watching her?" "We watch all humans who venture too far into forgotten spaces. Can't have our own stumbling onto our secrets before we're ready." Drake paused at a sealed door. "The captain's through here. Try not to embarrass yourselves." The door slid open, revealing a spacious ready room. Maps of star systems covered every wall, and standing at the center was a man in his 60s, weathered but strong, with scars that spoke of battles survived. "Captain Aldrich Thorne." He introduced himself, extending a hand. "You've caused quite the stir, Dr. Voss." Helena shook his hand, feeling the calluses of someone who'd fought for survival. "I didn't mean to. Don't apologize for waking history." "That beacon was meant to be found eventually." Thorne gestured to chairs. "Sit. We have much to discuss and little time." As they sat, Helena felt Marcus's leg press against hers under the table. A small comfort in an overwhelming situation. 200 years ago, Thorne began, humanity lost the first contact war, or so the galaxy believes. The truth is we retreated. The governments that remained made a choice: hide and rebuild or fight and die completely. His eyes grew distant. Thousands of ships fled into uncharted space. We've been out here ever since, scattered across hidden stations and colonies, waiting. Waiting for what? Marcus asked. For the galaxy to forget us. For our technology to surpass theirs. For the right moment to return. Thorne leaned forward. That beacon was a failsafe, a test. If humanity ever grew curious enough about our past to find it, if we had enough courage left to explore our own ruins, then we were ready. Helena's mind raced. So everything I found, everything I've been studying, breadcrumbs, left by those who came before, hoping someday we'd follow the trail home. Thorne's expression hardened. But you've also attracted attention. Krivoth ships don't patrol that sector by accident. They've been searching for proof we still exist. Now they have it. The weight of responsibility crashed over Helena. Her hands trembled, and Marcus immediately covered them with his own, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. The gesture was unconscious, natural, and it didn't escape Thorne's notice. "Captain Reed," Thorne addressed Marcus directly, "your service record is impressive. Special operations, rescue missions, decorated 3 times for valor. We could use someone like you. Use me for what?" "War is coming. Whether we want it or not, your discovery has announced our presence. The alien empires will mobilize. They'll hunt every hidden colony, every secret station." Thorne stood, his frame imposing. "We need to strike first, gather our scattered fleets." "But more than that, We need to be ready for what comes next. A soft chime interrupted them. Drake's voice came through the comm. Captain, we're approaching Sanctuary Station. And sir, we've detected another ship following us. Small Krevoth design. Scout class. Thorn's jaw clenched. Can we disable it without destroying it? Possibly. Why? Because whoever's piloting that ship has seen too much. I want them alive. The capture happened quickly. Phantom's Edge deployed magnetic nets that fried the scout ship's engines without breaching the hull. Within an hour, the alien pilot was brought aboard in restraints. Helena watched through the observation window as the prisoner was escorted into the interrogation room. She was female, her crystalline blue skin marking her as Krevoth, her movements graceful despite the bindings. When she looked up, her eyes met Helena's through the glass, and something passed between them. Not hostility, but recognition. Two women caught in currents beyond their control. That's Intelligence Officer Nexara, Drake explained. Mid-level operative. She's been tracking rogue signals in the outer sectors for months. Marcus studied the alien carefully. She doesn't look afraid. That's what worries me, Thorn muttered. In the interrogation room, Nexara spoke first, her voice melodic but firm. I request asylum. Silence fell over the observation deck. That's unexpected, Drake breathed. Thorn activated the comm. Explain yourself. Nexara lifted her chin. I know what I saw. I know what you are. And I know what my empire will do now that they have proof of your existence. She paused. They will not stop until every human is dead. But I have seen your ships, your technology. You have a chance, but only if you strike before they mobilize their full forces. Why would you betray your own people? Marcus demanded through the comm. Nexara's eyes found the window again, finding Helena. Because I have watched your species from the shadows. I have read your histories, studied your art, your philosophy. The galaxy believes you were monsters, but I know different. You were defending yourselves. And when you lost, you chose survival over vengeance. Her voice softened. My people will not offer you that same mercy. Someone must stand against this injustice. Helena felt something stir in her chest. She moved to the door before anyone could stop her, entering the interrogation room. Marcus was right behind her, protective instinct overriding protocol. You could be lying, Helena said, standing before the alien woman. Nexara met her gaze evenly. I could be. But you know I am not. I see it in your eyes, Dr. Voss. You understand what it means to seek truth even when it costs everything. Helena did understand. It was why she'd spent years digging through ruins, why she'd activated that beacon despite the risks. Truth mattered more than comfort. What information do you have? Helena asked quietly. Fleet positions, command codes, the location of the Krevoth High Council. Nexara leaned forward as much as her restraints allowed. Everything you need to survive the first wave. After that, you will be on your own. Marcus placed a hand on Helena's shoulder. It could be a trap. Everything is a trap, Captain, Nexara replied. But some traps can be turned against those who set them. Thorn's voice came through the comm. Dr. Voss, step out now, but Helena didn't move. She studied Nexara's face, looking for deception and finding only resolve. Why asylum? Why not just give us the information and leave? For the first time, Nexara's composed expression cracked. Because once my empire knows what I have done, there is no home for me. Because I am tired of serving fear and hatred, she paused. And because I believe what you will build here, what you will fight for, is worth joining. Helena turned to the observation window. Captain Thorn, I believe her. With respect, Dr. Voss, you're an archaeologist, not an interrogator. No, but I'm an expert in reading what others leave behind. This woman is leaving behind her entire life. Helena's voice strengthened. That's not something done lightly. A long silence followed. Then Thorn's sigh crackled through the comm. Remove her restraints. Assign her quarters under guard. We'll verify her information, and if it checks out, we'll talk asylum. As the guards released Nexara, she rubbed her wrists and nodded to Helena. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If you're lying, I'll be the first one demanding answers. A slight smile touched Nexara's lips. I would expect nothing less. That night, Helena couldn't sleep. She stood in the observation lounge, watching stars streak past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. The weight of everything pressed down on her. She'd wanted to uncover humanity's past, not ignite its future. You're going to wear a hole in that deck with your pacing, Marcus said softly. Entering the lounge, Helena turned, and in the dim light, He looked different, vulnerable, real. I keep thinking about all the people who'll die because I activated that beacon. He crossed the space between them, standing close enough that she could feel his warmth. You didn't start this war, Helena. It started 200 years ago and never really ended. You just reminded everyone that humans don't quit. I'm not a soldier, Marcus. I study the past. I don't shape the future. Maybe that's exactly what we need. Someone who remembers what we were, so we don't lose sight of what we should be. His hand lifted, fingers gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was tender, achingly intimate. Helena's breath caught. Marcus, I meant what I said in the shuttle. These months with you have been the best of my life. His voice dropped lower. And I know this is terrible timing, with wars and aliens and the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, but Helena, She kissed him. Not gently, but with all the fear and hope and desperate need that had been building since the moment that beacon lit the sky. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, and for a few precious heartbeats, the universe narrowed to just them. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that since our second mission together. The one where I almost fell into that chasm. The one where you laughed after I pulled you back up. You were terrified and exhilarated and completely alive. He cupped her face. I fell for you right then. Helena felt tears sting her eyes. We might die tomorrow. Then tonight we live. He kissed her again, softer this time, full of promise. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Outside the viewport, Sanctuary Station emerged from the nebulous swirling colors. A massive structure of metal and light, home to the remnants of humanity. Helena held Marcus close, feeling his heart beat against hers, and thought about the beacon still pulsing on that forgotten moon. Never forget, it said. She wouldn't. And now, neither would the galaxy. The assembly of Shadow Sanctuary Station was a marvel of desperate engineering. Built inside a massive asteroid, its interior had been carved into districts, parks, and military installations. As Helena and Marcus walked through the main concourse, children played in artificial gardens while vendors sold food that smelled like earth. It was a ghost of home, preserved in the dark. 50,000 people, Helena whispered, watching families pass by. How did they stay hidden so long? Discipline, sacrifice, and a lot of luck. Commander Drake walked beside them, her expression unreadable. Every person here knows the cost of discovery. Until today, anyway. They approached a massive amphitheater carved from the asteroid's interior. Inside, representatives from various hidden colonies were gathering. Ship captains, colony administrators, scientists, and soldiers, all summoned by Captain Thorne's emergency call. The Council of Shadows, Drake explained. Every hidden human settlement sends someone. They vote on major decisions, plan for contingencies. Today, they decide if we go to war. Admiral Davina Cross stood at the center podium, a woman in her 70s with steel-gray hair and eyes that had witnessed too much. She commanded presence without effort, and when she spoke, the chamber fell silent. 2 days ago, we were safe in obscurity. Today, the galaxy knows we exist. Her voice carried no anger, only cold assessment. Dr. Voss activated a beacon on Outpost Meridian. The signal has been detected by at least 4 alien empires. Intelligence suggests they're mobilizing. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Helena felt the weight of hundreds of eyes turning toward her. The question before us, Admiral Cross continued, is simple. Do we run deeper into the dark, or do we stand and fight? An older man stood, his colony identifier marking him as from New Terra. We've survived by hiding. Fighting will only expose our other settlements. Hiding is already over, Captain Thorne countered, rising from his seat. The Krevoth have the beacon's location. They'll backtrack every ship that's been near that sector. They'll find us eventually. A younger woman in a pilot's uniform shot to her feet. Lieutenant Jade Chen, according to the name on her flight suit, her movements sharp and confident. Then we hit them first, scatter their fleets before they can organize. We've got ships they've never seen, weapons they don't expect. We also have families. Another voice called out. Children who've never known war. Are we really going to throw away 2 centuries of peace? Peace? Marcus stood suddenly, surprising even himself. Helena touched his hand, but he gently squeezed and continued. With respect, this hasn't been peace. It's been hiding. My parents were born on a colony ship, never saw a planet until they were teenagers. I've spent my entire life looking over my shoulder, knowing one mistake could doom everyone. That's not peace, that's prolonged fear. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some shouted agreement, others hurled insults. Admiral Cross let it continue for exactly 30 seconds before slamming her palm on the podium, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Enough! She waited for silence. We have a guest who wishes to address the council. Intelligence Officer Nexara of the Krivoth Empire. The reaction was instant. Gasps, shouts of outrage, hands reaching for weapons that weren't there. Drake had to step forward, her voice cutting through the chaos. She's under protective custody, requesting asylum and offering intelligence. Hear her out. Nexara entered flanked by guards, her blue skin standing out starkly against the human crowd. She walked with dignity despite the hostile glares, stopping at the podium beside Admiral Cross. Humans of Sanctuary, Nexara began, her accent melodic but clear. I come before you as a traitor to my people and a supplicant to yours. I offer information that may save your lives, but first I must speak a truth the galaxy has suppressed. She activated a holo display, showing historical records, images of the First Contact War, but from Krivoth perspectives. Helena leaned forward, her historian's instinct engaged. Your people, Nexara continued, were never the aggressors our history claims. The war began because humanity discovered something the empires wanted buried, evidence that we aliens were not the first spacefaring civilizations, that we had destroyed those who came before us. She paused, letting that sink in. Humanity's crime was curiosity. Your punishment was near extinction. The chamber fell into shocked silence. You're saying the entire war was a cover-up? Admiral Cross asked carefully. I am saying my people and others feared what humanity represented. A species that asked questions, that refused to accept history without proof. You reminded the empires of their own forgotten guilt. Nexara's voice strengthened. And now, learning you survived, they fear you will uncover the truth they've hidden for millennia. Helena stood slowly. What truth? What did the previous civilizations discover? Nexara met her eyes. That we are all prisoners. That this galaxy is a cage, and something watches from beyond the stars, waiting. The word sent chills through the chamber. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Drake's comm crackled. Commander, we've got incoming! Multiple contacts just dropped out of hyperspace at the nebula's edge. Admiral Cross's face hardened. How many? 50 ships. 60. Still counting. The officer's voice shook. Ma'am, it's an invasion fleet. They found us. The council erupted into panic. Admiral Cross's voice cut through. All ships to battle stations. Evacuate civilians to the deep bunkers. This council is adjourned. We're at war. People scrambled, but Helena noticed Nexara standing perfectly still, her expression one of deep sorrow. You knew they'd come this fast. Helena said quietly. I hoped I was wrong. Nexara turned to her. My people tracked me here. I should have led you into more jumps. Confused the trail, but I underestimated their resolve. She paused. I am sorry, Dr. Voss. I have brought death to your doorstep. Marcus stepped between them, protective. If you're truly with us, now's the time to prove it. Nexara nodded once, then turned to Admiral Cross. Admiral, I know the commander leading this fleet. General Vorik, the Blade of the Empire. He is ruthless but predictable. If you'll allow me, I can help coordinate your defenses. Cross studied her for a long moment. Commander Drake, assign Officer Nexara to tactical. If she makes one move that seems suspicious, shoot her. Drake drew her sidearm, nodded. Gladly. As the council chamber emptied, Helena felt Marcus pull her close. Around them, people rushed to stations, to ships, to weapons. The hidden life of Sanctuary was transforming into a fortress. Stay close to me. Marcus murmured against her hair. Always. She whispered back. But her eyes found Nexara across the chaos. The alien woman already studying tactical displays with Drake. An enemy turned ally, or a spy completing her mission. Time would tell. Lieutenant Jade Chen appeared beside them, her expression fierce. Dr. Voss, Captain Reed, you're with me. Admiral's orders. We need every capable body in a cockpit or at a station. I'm an archaeologist, Helena protested. Today, you're whatever we need you to be. Jade's grin was sharp. Besides, you started this party. Might as well see how it ends. They ran through corridors transformed by red alert lighting. Helena's mind raced with images from Nexara's presentation. Ancient civilizations destroyed and forgotten, secrets buried across the galaxy, and now humanity, stumbling into the same pattern. In the command center, Admiral Cross stood before a massive tactical display. The invasion fleet spread across the screen like a disease, each ship marked and tagged. The numbers were devastating. Humanity had perhaps 30 combat-ready vessels at Sanctuary. The enemy had 3 times that, with more jumping in every minute. "They're deploying in a siege formation," Nexara said, pointing to the display. "Vorik intends to contain you, prevent escape, then destroy the station at leisure. How do we break a siege?" Cross demanded. Nexara's expression turned calculating. "You don't. You make them abandon it." She manipulated the display, highlighting specific ships. "These vessels carry the fleet's command and control systems. If they're destroyed, Vorik's fleet will fragment into smaller battle groups. Easier to fight, easier to evade, or easier to be picked off one by one," Drake countered. "Perhaps. But it's your only chance." Admiral Cross turned to Captain Thorne. "Take every ship we have. Target those command vessels. Make them hurt." Thorne nodded grimly. "What about the station? We hold. We buy time for evacuation transports to reach the hidden jump points." Cross's voice didn't waver, but Helena saw the pain in her eyes. 50,000 people and nowhere near enough transports for a quick evacuation. Marcus stepped forward. "Admiral, let me take a strike team. Small, fast ships. We can harass their flanks while the main fleet hits their center. Captain Reed, you're not qualified." "He is now," Jade interrupted, her confidence absolute. "I'll lead the strike team. Reed flies as my wingman. We've got 8 pilots who can fly blind drunk. Against these odds, drunk might help." Despite everything, a few people laughed. Gallows humor, but it lightened the weight pressing on all their chests. Cross nodded. "Do it. And Lieutenant Chen, try to come back alive. Where's the fun in that, ma'am?" As the command center dissolved into organized chaos, Helena found herself at a sensor station, her archaeological training suddenly useful for pattern recognition. She watched the enemy fleet movements, looking for weaknesses, for anything that might help. Nexara appeared beside her. "You blame me for this?" Helena didn't look up. "Should I?" "Yes, but blame will not save us." Nexara's fingers danced across an adjacent console. "I am uploading everything I know about Vorik's tactics, his ship configurations, weak points in Krivoth shield technology. It may not be enough, but it is all I have to offer." Helena finally met her eyes. "Why are you really doing this?" "Because I am tired of being part of a machine that crushes anyone different. Because I have read your histories and wept for what was done to you. Because—" Nexara hesitated, something vulnerable crossing her alien features. "Because in you, Dr. Voss, I see what I wish my people could be. Curious, brave, willing to stand for truth even when it costs everything." The moment hung between them, understanding passing without words. 2 women from different worlds, bound by circumstance and choice. "If we survive this," Helena said quietly, "I'd like to show you something. There are ruins, human ruins, that speak of the civilizations you mentioned. Maybe together we can find the real truth." Nexara's expression softened. "I would like that very much." An explosion rocked the station. The battle had begun. On the tactical display, humanity's small fleet launched from hidden bays, spreading like silver sparks against the void. At their head flew the Phantom's Edge, Captain Thorne's voice crackling across all channels. "All ships, this is Thorne. They expected to find us broken and afraid. Let's show them what humanity really is. For Sanctuary. For Earth. For everyone we've lost." The response was a roar that shook the command center. "For humanity." Marcus stood at the airlock to his assault fighter, helmet in hand. Helena ran to him, not caring who saw. She grabbed his flight suit and pulled him down into a fierce kiss. "Come back to me," she demanded against his lips. "Always," he promised. Then he was gone, sprinting to his ship with Jade and the strike team. Helena watched them launch through the viewport, small fighters darting into a storm of fire. She pressed her hand against the cold glass and whispered a prayer to God she wasn't sure existed. Admiral Cross stood beside her, watching the same desperate dance. "He's a good man." "He's everything," Helena replied simply. "Then we'll make sure he has something to come back to." Cross turned back to the command center. "All stations prepare for direct engagement. This is our home. We hold the line, whatever it costs." Outside in the cold dark, 2 forces collided. Human ingenuity against alien numbers. desperation against inevitability. And somewhere in between, the fate of a species hung in the balance. The battle for sanctuary had begun. Flames of conviction space burned. The void between Sanctuary Station and the alien fleet became a canvas painted in fire and fury. Human ships darted like angry wasps, small but deadly, striking at targets 3 times their size. Explosions bloomed in silence, beautiful and terrible. Inside his assault fighter, Marcus Reed flew with absolute focus. The cockpit wrapped around him like a second skin, displays feeding him information faster than conscious thought could process. Muscle memory took over, honed by years of simulation and scattered combat. But this was different. "This was everything! Strike Team Alpha, form on me!" Jade Chen's voice crackled through the comm, sharp and confident. "We're going for the command cruiser portside. Marcus, you're with me. Everyone else, keep their point defense busy." "Copy that, Jade." Marcus banked hard, feeling the G-forces press him into his seat. His fighter screamed past a Krivoth destroyer, so close he could see the hull plating. Weapons fire traced lines of death around him, but he'd learned long ago not to fear the shots that missed. Ahead, the command cruiser loomed like a metal moon. Its surface bristled with cannons and shield emitters, and small fighter craft poured from its bays like insects defending a hive. "6 bandits on our tail," another pilot called out, panic edging into his voice. "I've got them," came a new voice, calm and cold. "Break left on my mark." Marcus recognized that voice. Commander Thoren, an alien who'd defected years ago, now flew one of humanity's most advanced fighters. His story was legendary in the Hidden Fleet. A Krivoth officer who'd seen his own people execute civilians and couldn't be part of it anymore. Breaking left now. Thoren's fighter materialized from above, weapons blazing. 3 enemy ships exploded in rapid succession. The others scattered. "Thanks for the save," Marcus breathed. "Thank me by staying alive, human." But there was warmth in Thoren's tone. "Jade, I'm covering your approach. Make it count." Marcus followed Jade's fighter in a tight spiral, dodging defensive fire that would have vaporized them both. His targeting computer screamed lock warnings, but he trusted the ship, trusted his instincts. At the last second, Jade broke left and Marcus broke right, both of them firing in perfect synchronization. Their missiles struck the command cruiser's shield generator simultaneously. The shields flickered, died, and suddenly the massive ship was vulnerable. "All ships, concentrate fire on target Alpha." Admiral Cross's voice rang across the command channel. "Hit them now!" The main fleet, led by Captain Thorne in the Phantom's Edge, unleashed hell. Beams of coherent light lanced through the void, slamming into the command cruiser's exposed hull. Armor plating cracked, atmosphere vented in frozen clouds, and internal explosions rippled across the vessel's surface. "She's breaking apart." Someone shouted, but the victory was bitter. Even as the command cruiser died, more enemy ships pressed forward. General Vorik, watching from his flagship, simply redirected his forces. He'd sacrificed 1 ship to learn humanity's capabilities. Now he knew what he faced. Back on Sanctuary Station, Helena watched the battle unfold on tactical displays, her heart in her throat every time a human ship's icon flickered. Beside her, Nexara worked frantically, analyzing enemy patterns and feeding information to the fleet. "They're adapting faster than I expected," Nexara muttered. "Vorik is learning from every engagement. Can we do something about that?" Helena asked. "Not unless we can disrupt their communication network." Nexara paused, her crystalline eyes widening. "Actually, that's not a terrible idea." She pulled up the communication arrays, showing the complex web of signals linking the alien fleet. "If I can feed them false data, make them think they're receiving legitimate orders." "You'd fragment their coordination," Helena finished, her archaeologist mind seeing the pattern. "Like severing neural pathways." "Precisely." Nexara's fingers flew across the console. "But I need access to a high-powered transmitter, something that can punch through military-grade encryption." Admiral Cross appeared behind them. "The communications array in Sector 7. It's research-grade, designed for deep space probes, but it might work. It's also on the outer hull," Drake pointed out. "Exposed to direct fire." "I'll go," Helena said immediately. Everyone turned to stare at her. "You're not trained for EVA combat operations," Cross said carefully. "No, but I'm trained to work in hostile environments with limited equipment. Ancient ruins are just as dangerous as space battles, and I've survived plenty." Helena met the Admiral's eyes. Besides, Nexara needs someone who can think like a scientist, not a soldier. Let me do this. Cross studied her for a long moment. Commander Drake, suit her up and go with her. Officer Nexara, you'll coordinate from here. As Helena and Drake hurried to the equipment lockers, Nexara caught Helena's arm. Dr. Voss, what you're doing is what needs to be done. Helena managed a smile. Keep Marcus alive out there. I have plans for after this battle. Despite everything, Nexara smiled back. I will do my best. The EVA suit felt bulky and claustrophobic, but Helena forced herself to breathe slowly as the airlock cycled. Beside her, Drake checked her weapons one more time, her movements efficient and practiced. Stay close, stay low, and if I say run, you run, Drake instructed. The hull is cratered from impacts, lots of cover, but also lots of obstacles. And, Doctor, try not to look at the battle. The scale of it can freeze you up. Helena nodded, not trusting her voice. The airlock opened, and they stepped into the void. Sanctuary's hull stretched in all directions, a landscape of metal and shadow. Above or below or around, directions lost meaning in space. The battle raged. Ships danced and died, weapons fire painted temporary constellations, and the beauty of it was horrifying. Helena looked away and focused on moving forward. One boot after another, magnetic clamps holding her to the hull. Drake led them through a maze of sensor arrays and communication dishes, always moving, always alert. They were halfway to Sector 7 when the attack came. Enemy fighters screamed overhead, strafing the station's surface. Explosions erupted around them, shrapnel spinning into space. Drake grabbed Helena and pulled her into the shadow of a damaged shield generator, both of them pressing flat. We need to move, Drake shouted over the comm. They've spotted us. They ran, or as close to running as magnetic boots allowed. Weapons fire chased them, superheating hull plating, sending molten metal spraying in their wake. Helena's breath came in ragged gasps, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. The communications array rose before them like a metallic forest. Drake found the access panel and started working on it while Helena kept watch, feeling utterly helpless. She'd never fired a weapon in her life, had spent her career unearthing the past, not fighting in the present. Got it, Drake announced. Interface is active. Tell Nexara we're ready. Helena activated her comm. Nexara, we're in position. Excellent. I'm beginning the upload now. This will take approximately 3 minutes. Try to stay alive. Helpful advice, Helena muttered. The upload began, progress bars crawling across her helmet's heads-up display. Each second felt like an hour. Around them, the battle intensified. A human destroyer exploded too close, debris raining down on their position. Drake fired her weapon at approaching enemies, each shot precise and controlled. Then Helena saw it. An enemy missile, launched from a distant cruiser, arcing toward the station. Toward them. Its trajectory was perfect, would impact directly on the communications array in seconds. Drake, Helena pointed. Drake swore, grabbed her arm. We have to go now. The upload isn't complete. Better alive and failed than dead and successful. But Helena's mind raced. She thought about Marcus out there, fighting for their future. About the 50,000 people on this station depending on them. About the beacon she'd activated and all the consequences that followed. She'd spent her life studying those who came before. Now it was her turn to be worth remembering. Go, Helena said quietly, planting her boots firmly. I'm staying. Helena, that's an order, Commander. Someone needs to finish this. She met Drake's eyes through their visors. Tell Marcus I'm sorry. Tell him I love him. For a second, Drake hesitated. Then professional discipline took over. She saluted once and activated her emergency propulsion, shooting away from the array. Helena turned back to the display. 92% complete. The missile grew larger, its engine burned bright against the dark. She thought of Marcus's kiss, the way he held her like she was everything. She thought of Nexara's sacrifice, leaving behind everything for truth. She thought of all the humans who'd hidden for centuries, waiting for someone brave enough to ring the bell. 98%. Come on, she whispered. Just a little more. The missile was seconds away. She could see its warhead, primed and ready. This would hurt. This would end everything she was. 100%. Upload complete. Helena smiled and closed her eyes. A shadow fell over her. She looked up to see a human fighter interpose itself between her and the missile. The ship's shields flared, absorbing the impact. The fighter spun wildly but held together, and through the chaos she heard a voice she knew better than her own heartbeat. Got you, Marcus said, his fighter steadying. Sorry I'm late. Had to take the scenic route. Helena's legs gave out. She collapsed against the array, laughter and tears mixing in her helmet. You magnificent idiot. Learned from the best. His fighter hovered above her, weapons blazing to keep enemies at bay. Now how about we get you inside before you give me a heart attack? Drake appeared with a rescue team, pulling Helena up and guiding her back toward the airlock. Behind them, across the entire alien fleet, chaos erupted as Nexara's false orders took effect. Ships broke formation, captains countermanding each other, confusion spreading like poison. In the command center, Nexara watched her work unfold with grim satisfaction. General Vorik, your fleet is mine now. Admiral Cross watched enemy ships begin to retreat, their coordination shattered. All ships press the advantage. Drive them back! The tide was turning. Not victory yet, but hope. The new dawn, the battle's aftermath, hung heavy over Sanctuary Station like morning fog after a storm. Damaged ships limped back to docking bays. Emergency crews worked frantically on hull breaches, and the medical center overflowed with wounded. But they had survived. Against impossible odds, humanity had held the line. Helena sat in the observation lounge, still wearing her EVA suit from the waist down, too exhausted to finish changing. Through the viewport, she watched debris drift past. Pieces of ships, both human and alien, silent monuments to the cost of survival. Her hands trembled, adrenaline finally fading and leaving behind the raw truth of how close she'd come to death. The door opened. Marcus entered, still in his flight suit, face streaked with sweat and ash. Their eyes met, and something broke inside both of them. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms so tightly she could barely breathe. Don't ever do that again, he whispered against her hair, his voice cracking. Don't ever make me think I lost you. I won't, she promised, then amended honestly. I'll try not to. He pulled back just enough to cup her face, his thumbs tracing her cheekbones. Helena Voss, when this is over, when there's actually peace, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want mornings and evenings and all the boring, beautiful moments in between. I want to dig through ruins with you, argue about ancient civilizations, and fall asleep reading your research papers. Tears spilled down her cheeks. That sounds perfect. Is that a yes? That's an absolutely yes. She kissed him, tasting salt and smoke and survival. To everything, forever. They held each other as the station hummed around them, 2 souls finding anchor in chaos. Outside, a damaged human destroyer fired its positioning thrusters, beginning the slow journey to the repair docks. Life continued, battered but unbroken. In the command center, Admiral Davina Cross stood before the tactical display, studying reports with the focus of someone who couldn't afford to rest yet. The alien fleet had retreated, but not far. They'd pulled back to the nebula's edge, regrouping, reassessing. General Vorik wasn't finished. He was planning. Casualty reports, she said quietly. Commander Drake stepped forward, her expression carefully neutral. 47 dead, 116 wounded. We lost 8 ships completely, another dozen critically damaged. Civilian casualties were minimal thanks to the evacuation protocols. Cross absorbed the numbers without flinching, though each one weighed on her soul. And our guest? Officer Nexara is in debriefing. Her false orders bought us the time we needed, but Vorik knows now that someone on the inside betrayed him. He'll adapt. Then we adapt faster. Cross turned to Captain Thorne, who stood nearby with his arm in a sling, a burn scar fresh on his neck. Recommendations? Thorne pulled up a star map. We can't stay here. Sanctuary's location is compromised. We need to evacuate everyone and scatter to the backup colonies. If we spread out, they can't destroy us all at once. That's surrender by another name, Lieutenant Jade Chen interjected. She'd somehow found time to shower and change, though exhaustion lined her young face. We run now. We'll spend another 2 centuries looking over our shoulders. Maybe it's time to stop running. Easy to say when you're not responsible for 50,000 lives, Drake countered. But there was no heat in her words, only weariness. The door opened, and Nexara entered escorted by guards. She looked different, smaller somehow, vulnerable in a way that transcended species. She'd burned every bridge to help them, and now stood in the rubble wondering if it had been worth it. Officer Nexara, Cross acknowledged. Your assistance today saved countless lives. You have my gratitude. Gratitude is insufficient currency for treason, Admiral. Nexara's voice was steady, but Helena, who'd slipped into the command center with Marcus, heard the fear beneath. My people will hunt me. Vorik specifically will make my capture a personal mission. I have endangered you all by being here. You've also given us the greatest weapon we could ask for, Thorn said, understanding. We've spent 2 centuries hiding from the galaxy, not knowing our enemies. You've offered to change that. Nexara met his gaze. I have, but information alone will not win this war. General Vorik has already transmitted reports back to the Krivoth High Council. Within days they will mobilize the full Imperial fleet. You cannot fight that, cannot hide from it. They will scour every shadow in this sector until you are found and eliminated. Silence fell over the room, heavy and suffocating. Marcus stepped forward. Unless we strike first. Every head turned toward him. We can't attack their homeworld, Drake said. We don't have the ships or the firepower. No, but we can attack their credibility. Marcus moved to the display, calling up the data Nexara had shown them during the council meeting. You said the alien empires destroyed previous civilizations to hide evidence of their crimes. What if we found that evidence? What if we broadcast it across the galaxy? Helena's mind ignited with possibility. The ruins I've been studying, some of them contain records of pre-spacefaring civilizations. I always thought they were just archaeological curiosities, but if they're part of a larger pattern, then we prove the empires are built on genocide and lies. Nexara finished, her crystalline eyes widening. The smaller species, the ones who live under Krivoth dominance, they would rise up. The empire would fracture from within. It's a long shot, Admiral Cross said, but Helena heard the shift in her tone, hope creeping in where there had been only grim determination. All our shots are long, Admiral, Jade pointed out. Might as well make them count. Cross studied the room, taking in the faces of her officers, the alien defector, the archaeologist who'd started this entire chain of events. Dr. Voss, how many of these ruins have you catalogued? Hundreds across 24 systems. But most are in contested space or under alien control. Helena pulled up her personal database, years of work spreading across the display. The most significant site is on Cathara Prime, deep in Krivoth territory. The ruins there contain what I believe is a complete historical archive of the Varani civilization, one of the species the Empires supposedly never encountered. Cathara Prime, Nexara breathed. That's a fortress world, 3 orbital defense stations, constant fleet patrols. Infiltrating it would be suicide, Drake finished, which is why it might work. They'd never expect us to be that insane. I volunteer to lead the mission, Marcus said immediately. Absolutely not, Helena countered. I'm going. It's my research, my expertise. You'd be lost without me. Then we both go, Marcus said firmly, taking her hand. Together. Admiral Cross looked between them, seeing the determination that couldn't be argued with. Captain Thorne, assemble a small strike team. Lieutenant Chen, you'll pilot them in. Commander Drake, coordinate with our intelligence network. I want every scrap of information about Cathara Prime's defenses. She turned to Nexara. Can you get them inside? Nexara straightened, something like purpose replacing the fear in her posture. I was stationed there for 2 years. I know the patrol patterns, the security protocols. Yes, Admiral. I can get them inside. Then you have my blessing. Cross's expression hardened. But understand this. If you're captured, we cannot mount a rescue. You'll be alone, deep in enemy territory, with the fate of our entire species depending on your success. This is not a mission, it's a prayer. Helena felt Marcus's hand tighten around hers. They exchanged a glance, an entire conversation passing in a heartbeat. Fear, love, determination, acceptance. Whatever came next, they would face it together. When do we leave? Helena asked. 36 hours. That's how long we need to prep the ship and finalize intelligence. Cross moved to stand directly in front of them. Dr. Voss, Captain Reed, I am asking you to walk into the darkness. I cannot promise you'll return. I cannot even promise your sacrifice will matter. But I can promise that every human alive will know what you've done, and we will make it mean something. That's all we can ask for, Marcus replied. Part 5. The New Dawn. The battle's aftermath hung heavy over Sanctuary Station like morning fog after a storm. Damaged ships limped back to docking bays, emergency crews worked frantically on hull breaches, and the medical center overflowed with wounded. But they had survived. Against impossible odds, humanity had held the line. Helena sat in the observation lounge, still wearing her EVA suit from the waist down, too exhausted to finish changing. Through the viewport, she watched debris drift past. Pieces of ships, both human and alien, silent monuments to the cost of survival. Her hands trembled, adrenaline finally fading and leaving behind the raw truth of how close she'd come to death. The door opened. Marcus entered, still in his flight suit, face streaked with sweat and ash. Their eyes met, and something broke inside both of them. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms so tightly she could barely breathe. "Don't ever do that again," he whispered against her hair, his voice cracking. "Don't ever make me think I lost you." "I won't," she promised, then amended honestly. "I'll try not to." He pulled back just enough to cup her face, his thumbs tracing her cheekbones. "Helena Voss, when this is over, when there's actually peace, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want mornings and evenings and all the boring, beautiful moments in between. I want to dig through ruins with you, argue about ancient civilizations, and fall asleep reading your research papers." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "That sounds perfect. Is that a yes?" "That's an absolutely yes." She kissed him, tasting salt and smoke and survival. "To everything, forever." They held each other as the station hummed around them, 2 souls finding anchor in chaos. Outside, a damaged human destroyer fired its positioning thrusters, beginning the slow journey to the repair docks. Life continued, battered but unbroken. In the command center, Admiral Davina Cross stood before the tactical display, studying reports with the focus of someone who couldn't afford to rest yet. The alien fleet had retreated, but not far. They'd pulled back to the nebula's edge, regrouping, reassessing. General Vorik wasn't finished, he was planning. "Casualty reports," she said quietly. Commander Drake stepped forward, her expression carefully neutral. 47 dead, 116 wounded. "We lost 8 ships completely, another dozen critically damaged. Civilian casualties were minimal thanks to the evacuation protocols." Cross absorbed the numbers without flinching, though each one weighed on her soul. "And our guest? Officer Nixara is in debriefing. Her false orders bought us the time we needed. But Vorik knows now that someone on the inside betrayed him. He'll adapt. Then we adapt faster." Cross turned to Captain Thorne, who stood nearby with his arm in a sling, a burn scar fresh on his neck. "Recommendations?" Thorne pulled up a star map. "We can't stay here. Sanctuary's location is compromised. We need to evacuate everyone and scatter to the backup colonies. If we spread out, they can't destroy us all at once." "That's surrender by another name," Lieutenant Jade Chen interjected. She'd somehow found time to shower and change, though exhaustion lined her young face. "We run now. We'll spend another 2 centuries looking over our shoulders. Maybe it's time to stop running." "Easy to say when you're not responsible for 50,000 lives," Drake countered, but there was no heat in her words, only weariness. The door opened and Nixara entered, escorted by guards. She looked different. Smaller somehow, vulnerable in a way that transcended species. She'd burned every bridge to help them, and now stood in the rubble wondering if it had been worth it. "Officer Nixara," Cross acknowledged. "Your assistance today saved countless lives. You have my gratitude." "Gratitude is insufficient currency for treason, Admiral." Nixara's voice was steady, but Helena, who'd slipped into the command center with Marcus, heard the fear beneath. "My people will hunt me. Vorik specifically will make my capture a personal mission. I have endangered you all by being here. You've also given us the greatest weapon we could ask for," Thorne said. "Understanding. We've spent 2 centuries hiding from the galaxy, not knowing our enemies. You've offered to change that." Nixara met his gaze. "I have, but information alone will not win this war. General Vorik has already transmitted reports back to the Krivoth High Council. Within days they will mobilize the full Imperial fleet. You cannot fight that, cannot hide from it. They will scour every shadow in this sector until you are found and eliminated." Silence fell over the room, heavy and suffocating. Marcus stepped forward. "Unless we strike first." Every head turned toward him. "We can't attack their homeworld," Drake said. "We don't have the ships or the firepower." "No, but we can attack their credibility." Marcus moved to the display, calling up the data Nixara had shown them during the council meeting. "You said the alien empires destroyed previous civilizations to hide evidence of their crimes. What if we found that evidence? What if we broadcast it across the galaxy? Helena's mind ignited with possibility. The ruins I've been studying, some of them contain records of pre-spacefaring civilizations. I always thought they were just archaeological curiosities. But if they're part of a larger pattern, then we prove the empires are built on genocide and lies, Nexara finished, her crystalline eyes widening. The smaller species, the ones who live under Krevoth dominance, they would rise up. The empire would fracture from within. It's a long shot, Admiral Cross said, but Helena heard the shift in her tone. Hope creeping in where there had been only grim determination. All our shots are long, Admiral, Jade pointed out. Might as well make them count. Cross studied the room, taking in the faces of her officers, the alien defector, the archaeologist who'd started this entire chain of events. Dr. Voss, how many of these ruins have you catalogued? Hundreds across 24 systems, but most are in contested space or under alien control. Helena pulled up her personal database, years of work spreading across the display. The most significant site is on Cathara Prime, deep in Krevoth territory. The ruins there contain what I believe is a complete historical archive of the Vorani civilization, one of the species the empires supposedly never encountered. Cathara Prime, Nexara breathed. That's a fortress world. 3 orbital defense stations, constant fleet patrols. Infiltrating it would be suicide, Drake finished, which is why it might work. They'd never expect us to be that insane. I volunteer to lead the mission, Marcus said immediately. Absolutely not, Helena countered. I'm going. It's my research, my expertise. You'd be lost without me. Then we both go, Marcus said firmly, taking her hand. Together. Admiral Cross looked between them, seeing the determination that couldn't be argued with. Captain Thorne, assemble a small strike team. Lieutenant Chen, you'll pilot them in. Commander Drake, coordinate with our intelligence network. I want every scrap of information about Cathara Prime's defenses. She turned to Nexara. Can you get them inside? Nexara straightened, something like purpose replacing the fear in her posture. I was stationed there for 2 years. I know the patrol patterns, the security protocols. Yes, Admiral, I can get them inside. Then you have my blessing. Cross's expression hardened. But understand this, if you're captured, we cannot mount a rescue. You'll be alone, deep in enemy territory, with the fate of our entire species depending on your success. This is not a mission, it's a prayer. Helena felt Marcus's hand tighten around hers. They exchanged a glance, an entire conversation passing in a heartbeat. Fear, love, determination, acceptance. Whatever came next, they would face it together. When do we leave? Helena asked. 36 hours. That's how long we need to prep the ship and finalize intelligence. Cross moved to stand directly in front of them. Dr. Voss, Captain Reed, I am asking you to walk into the darkness. I cannot promise you'll return. I cannot even promise your sacrifice will matter. But I can promise that every human alive will know what you've done, and we will make it mean something. That's all we can ask for, Marcus replied. The next 36 hours passed in a blur. Helena spent most of it with Marcus, stealing whatever moments they could between preparations. They walked through Sanctuary's artificial gardens, shared meals in quiet corners, and made love with the desperate intensity of those who know time is a luxury they can't afford. In quieter moments, Helena studied the Cathara Prime ruins records, memorizing every detail. The Vorani had been a peaceful species, advanced in arts and philosophy, when the Proto-Krevoth encountered them 6,000 years ago. Within a century, the Vorani were extinct, their planets claimed, their history erased. Except it hadn't been completely erased, because the Vorani had carved their story into stone, buried it deep, and hoped someone would find it. Someone like Helena. You're thinking too loud, Marcus murmured beside her in bed, the station's artificial night cycle casting shadows across his face. I'm thinking about legacy, about what we leave behind. She traced patterns on his chest. The Vorani knew they were dying, so they preserved their truth. They never gave up hope that someone would listen. And now someone will. He kissed her forehead. You will. We will, she corrected. I'm not doing this without you. Damn right you're not. They fell asleep tangled together, neither wanting to waste a single moment apart. The departure came too quickly.